I'm Freda Lazarus, president of the Pompton Lakes League of Women Voters. The Pompton Lakes League began in 2007, and this is our 10th anniversary. And we're really proud of the fact that we have conducted these candidate forums every year. This is our 9th candidate forum. And aside from the candidate forums, we do voter registration in the high school, and we do study groups around large social issues that affect the community. The League is nonpartisan political organization that encourages active and informed participation of citizens in government and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not support or oppose candidates or a party. Operating as a nonprofit on a voluntary basis, its work is financed by its members and contributions for people in the community. Our League would welcome any of you to join us. This evening, our moderator is Tony Zimmer. Tony is a resident of Sparta and has served as president of the League of Women Voters of New Jersey and currently serves as the secretary of the League of Women Voters of the United States. We are honored to have Tony with us to serve as a moderator. In addition, joining our team this year is Jay Agnes of NorthJersey.com. He and Tony have been putting together a sampling of questions that have been submitted to NorthJersey.com. This forum is being videotaped by Longshot Productions, and the tape will be brought to Borough Hall and then submitted for cable production on Channel 77. During the course of the evening, additional questions may be submitted by dropping them in the basket, and then we'll pass them up to Tony. If there's any questions about our procedure before we begin, I will turn to Tony for that. Tony Zimmer.
Thank you, Freda, and good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to see so many of you here tonight. Okay. What we've done so far is we've picked out the order in which the candidates will make their opening statements and their closing statements. They will have 2 minutes each to make an opening statement and a closing statement. In between, they'll be asked questions, and each candidate will be given the same question to answer. And it'll be in random kind of order. It won't be the same thing over and over again. The other thing is they'll have 1 minute to answer the questions. And our timekeeper, Lan, will raise her hand high when they have 30 seconds remaining to answer a question, or either 30 seconds remaining for their opening or closing statement. And Lan will go like this, which means that they don't have any time left and they need to please stop. And so that's the way it's going to work now. Now, if any of you, and as Freda said, have questions, you could put them in that basket there. And I guess that would be great. Okay. And we'll try to get to as many of them as possible this evening. Okay. So we're going to start with the opening statement. And the first candidate will be Frank Giaconetta.
All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is Francisco Giaconetta. Many know me as Frank. I'm a lifelong Pompton Lakes resident. I have been married for 26 years to my wife, Barbara, who is also a lifelong borough resident. Both my wife and I are graduates of Pompton Lakes High School and are proud parents of our children. My daughter, Kaylin, a graduate of Pompton Lakes High School, is now a junior in college and is attending Florida International University. My son, Kyle, is a sophomore in Pompton Lakes High School. I served on the Pompton Lakes Planning Board for 4 years. I was also a former Pompton Lakes councilman from 1995 to 1999. During that time, I was chairman of DPW, chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee, and I was council president for 2 years. I also served as a police officer in this great borough of Pompton Lakes, retiring in 2011. I'm currently a supervisor of security, safety, and emergency management at the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission. Since being re-elected in 2014, I have served 2 years as chairman of the DPW, and I'm currently the chairman of Police and Fire. I'm liaison to the Health Department and the Shade Tree Commission. It's been a privilege and an honor to serve the residents of Pompton Lakes. I am running for re-election as councilman because I feel my combination of experience, knowledge of the community will greatly benefit the residents of Pompton Lakes. With your vote on November 7th, I look forward to continuing as your representative on the Borough Pompton Lakes Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Millie Torciello.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carmela Torciello, always known as Millie. A special thanks to the League of Women Voters, North Jersey Paper, and the Board of Education for making this event possible. Some of you know me, and some of you know my name. It certainly appeared on the ballot for many years. I want to explain why this year is different. For the past 35 years, every 2 years, I ran for the county committee, and I was always elected. I have walked the streets of Pompton Lakes with Randy. Not close enough. I have walked the streets with Randy. People congratulate me. Some think I'm still the council. I was on the council from 1988 to 1990. I was the first woman council president on the council. Even though the mayor, I guess, sorry about that, I was on the council. One woman even thought I was the mayor. I guess she hasn't met Mike Serra. But I've been encouraged to run by the county leaders of the Democratic Party. And I agree because I believe in the importance of local government and the importance of being a team player. I've always been involved in Pompton Lakes. In the past, I was a member of Lincoln, Lenox, Lakeside PTAs. I was involved with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. I served in the Flood Committee, Recreation Department, Youth Advisory Board, and was part of the chamber for 15 years as a business owner in Pompton Lakes. My political experience includes working with several former Republican mayors. Former Mayor John Spinnaker, Republican, appointed me to the Youth Advisory Board. Former Mayor Jack Sterling, Republican, and I worked together to establish the only senior housing in Pompton Lakes. Today, I'm a member of the Friends of the Library, the Golden Age Club, St. Mary Church, and We Do. That stands for Passaic County Democratic Organization for Women in Power. As you can see, I'm deeply care for Pompton Lakes.
Thank you, Millie.
Thank you.
Okay. Eck Venyon?
Thank
Is it
you.
Venyon?
Venin.
Venyon.
Venin, yes. Good evening. My name is Ekamon Venin. Most people just call me Eck. I'm currently your councilman. I was appointed to fill a vacancy on February 22nd of this year. Shortly after I was appointed, my karate teacher would tease me. He'd call me a politician. I'd politely correct him. I'd say, Mr. Miller, I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. I'm also a husband, a son, and the father of 2 girls. My daughters attend Lincoln Elementary. Katie is in 4th grade, and my little Melanie is in kindergarten. I have a bachelor's and a master's. I'm a Rutgers alum. I'm a software developer for UPS, and I've been with the company for over 17 years. On my first day at UPS, I unloaded trailers. Today, I'm responsible for the software and servers that store all of UPS's invoices from around the globe. I'm a volunteer. I'm honored to have the privilege of serving the community where my 2 daughters are growing up. My wife, Lauren, is a chairwoman of the Pompton Lakes Flood Advisory Board. And it's no secret that I believe that if it were not for her involvement and her tireless work for our community, I would not be sitting up here today. I was on the team of volunteers that helped to create our new borough website. And as a member of the technology committee, I will continue to look for ways to save money by implementing technology. I'm a resident of the flood zone, and know how devastating it is to have 4 feet of water in your living space. I will continue to support the hard work of my wife and her dedicated team of volunteers. Pompton Lakes is an awesome town to live in. Tonight, you'll be able to hear about my thoughts on how I'd like to make Pompton Lakes an even better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy Hinton.
Good evening. My name is Raniel William Hinton IV, also a lifelong resident. As people know me as Randy, but I like to use my full name. Like our wonderful town, Pompton Lakes, my name is about tradition. It's about making connections between the past, the present, and the future. Like Pompton, I'm a hard worker who's solidly middle class. The people who have served this town, politicians, yes. Also scout leaders, civic servants, teachers, police and fire departments, small business owners are the backbone of Cardinal traditions. I have lived in Pompton Lakes for 60 years, and I honor and respect the work and love that has gone into making this town a gem. My job history includes many leadership positions in the Carpenters Union, and I'm proud that I had the opportunity to represent my fellow workers and work collaboratively with management. Since retiring, I focused on the environment, serving on the Open Space Committee, and recently appointed to the Community Garden Committee. For 6 years, I've walked the streets of this town for the Shade Tree Commission. Also, you might have seen my blog on Facebook, Randy's Garden. As a lifelong conservationist, I share the community's concern about the geese and deer overpopulation. I support dealing with this issue using humane strategies for reducing geese and deer populations that have become a safety and hygiene problem. I regularly volunteer to reduce the geese population by addling eggs, and have brought environmental experts to Pompton Lakes to address the deer population. One party has represented the governance of Pompton Lakes for decades. Accountability gets lost when other, sometimes opposing views aren't considered. Residents deserve a voice in decisions that affect Pompton Lakes. That will happen when elected officials encourage input and listen to citizens. If you watch Channel 77, you've seen the back of my head at council meetings. I'm proud to say I've attended every meeting in the last 3 years, and it's clear to me that the
Thank you,
residents
Randall.
of Pompton Lakes deserve two-party representation,
Thank you,
a
Randall.
voice for all residents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. And now we're going to start the question and answer period, where you'll have 1 minute to answer each question. And we're going to start with Randall for the first question. Okay, what are your positions regarding the retail apartment complexes being proposed for Wanacue Avenue and Lakeside Avenue? Are these complexes out of character for downtown Pompton Lakes?
Is that for me? Yes. 40 years of construction, retired union carpenter. I'm all for revitalization of the town. Recently, the master plan was changed to allow 5 stories. I don't really agree with 5 stories through the center of town. I think 3 is high enough. If you have 5 in the front, you're going to have 6 or 7 in the back, and that could be an issue, a safety issue. We need a ladder truck to reach that in case of fire. I just think it's just too much, but I agree definitely with revitalization of our downtown area.
Thank you. Frank?
Thank you. Absolutely, 100% behind it. The work that's gone into this, and also with the pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes, is a way that we can work to stabilize our taxes, to bring back Pompton Lakes. We have all the towns around us. Wayne just approved a nice redevelopment on Route 23 across from the Lincoln Mercury dealer. Wanacue approved. They have several buildings done and more in the works. We're behind on the schedule here. So we're pushing this to get this going, to revitalize downtown, to bring some stabilization to taxes. Like I said, we can always argue as far as the height and everything else, but the main prospect of it is 100%.
Thank you. Millie?
Yes, thank you. I also support the redevelopment in town. I just don't support the 5-story buildings. I just don't want to see Little Pompton Lakes look like New York City or down Patterson or Newark. I just don't want to see that. I want to see people come into town, drive, and look at these buildings. And I actually went to a bid meeting, and I asked them if the commercial was correct of what they want to do, because there was one commercial that you have that a person was looking for a building, a number, and he couldn't find it. Finally, he asked where it was, and the little building was in the middle, the big buildings were all on the side, and that was why. So I won't support the 5-story building, but I will support the ratables that we're going to have improving the Wanacue Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Eck?
Yes, I am also for redevelopment. It's needed to stabilize taxes. Just because 5 stories was approved doesn't mean they'll be built to 5 stories. And as far as the fire department, I'm sure that they will make sure that we have the proper equipment if we don't already have it. If we don't build here, they're building everywhere else. So if we don't allow redevelopment to happen in Pompton Lakes, they're building everywhere else, and we'll be left with what we currently have, which is not acceptable.
Thank you. And here's a follow-up to that question. And we're going to start with you, Frank, this time. Will these complexes result in an increase in school-age children, which will be a burden on local schools? And is it right that these complexes will force the relocation of long-established local businesses? And just to remind you, each of you, if you need me to repeat a question, don't hesitate, just ask me.
So it's a two-pronged question. So the first part is,
Will the complexes result in an increase in school-age children, which will be a burden on local schools?
well, I know with the redevelopment committee, when they did the studies showed it will not drastically increase the school population. You will have some, but the results show that it will not do that. Second part of your question?
The second part is it right that these complexes will force the relocation of long-established local businesses?
Well, to bring up that point, here's a perfect point. The establishment where you're talking about the Cardinal, give you a perfect example. They just redid it, went back to the board with that in mind because it's a loved establishment here in town, and what they did is reconfirmed it, so this way the Cardinal can stay there and they'll work around it. So the Cardinal is going to stay. They went back to the board and they approved that. So I think that's, progress there.
Okay, Millie?
Yes.
The first part, sure. Will these complexes result in an increase in school-age children, which will be a burden on local schools?
I went to the bid meeting and I asked that question, and they said no, that there will not be any increase in children. But I went to the Board of Education, and they didn't do any study. They don't recall any study being done. So I don't know where the truth is. But if you have two bedrooms apartments, you obviously going to get children. You're not going to get a husband and wife sharing 2 bedrooms. Maybe some would, but that's up to the individual. But the other thing I disagree with is the parking. There's never enough parking as it is now. Imagine when all these apartments go up.
Okay, and will
The second part.
the relocation of
The
these-
relocation of yes, well, a lot of the business already left. There's only the Cardinals because they've been here for a long, long time. So, of course, they worked with them and they're staying for now. But what's going to happen when they build it? Are they going to build around it? Where are they going to put them as they build?
Okay, thank you. Eck?
So, no, studies have shown that school-aged children do not fill up the,
Can you speak into it?
sure. Studies have shown that in Morristown and what happened in Riverdale, that there was not a drastic increase in the number of children once these apartments were built and people moved in. And if it were to impact the schools, we would make sure that the schools were made whole and that the children were not impacted. The relocation question, it's a necessary evil. We can't, if the redeveloper cannot work and leave the business in place, then hopefully the bid or the town will work with the established business to make sure that they are least impacted.
Thank you. Randall?
I myself am not really that concerned. They've been doing studies about how many children will be coming into the school system from that. I just point out to a lot of residents when I talk about it that we've torn down 75 homes in the south end of town that used to have children coming to the school. And those kids are no longer here anymore. There's no more houses there, they're vacant lots. So I'm not really that concerned about more kids coming from this development. As far as the store owners, of course, a lot of them, they knew when these projects were proposed, they left their stores to go find other areas to have their business because of, they knew there would be a disruption. So I think that when the projects are built, that new store owners will come, and it shouldn't really be a problem.
Okay, thank you. All right, this next question will start with Millie. With the enormous increase of the deer population, what plan or strategy do you support to address this issue?
Well, I support, going through town, we saw that a lot of residents they can't keep their greens together, they can't keep their flowers together. And listening to the programs that Randy has brought forward with specialists that know about the deers, I like to see to control the deers. I don't know if it's, I would look into it. I would double check everything. I'm not saying we have to do hunting because obviously we know we can't hunt with guns in Pompton Lakes, but there's other ways that you can control the deers from coming to your home. There's spraying, there's other ways, and I would check into it for more information.
Thank you. Eck?
For the deer population, I think we need to start by educating the folks to not feed the deer. You feed them, they're going to keep coming back, they're going to reproduce, and it just keeps going from there. As far as controlling the population, we need to do some research, and it needs to be a regional, at the very least, if not a statewide approach. I understand that the deer kind of stay in one area, but we still would need the coordination of a multi-town or multi-county effort.
Thank you. Randall?
Oh, you can answer?
I see you.
Okay.
A minute? I could talk for an hour. Yes, this has been my issue for a long time. With Shade Tree, I've talked to so many of the residents and just asked them, are you having a problem with your landscape? And they say, yes, the deer population has grown enormously in the last 5 years, and their landscapes are being devastated. But I've gone and I brought in experts on it. You know, I've brought in a PhD in ecology. I've talked to Carol Stenko, Chief of Wildlife for Division of Fish and Wildlife. Dr. Ramey Rowe is going to be coming soon to talk about ticks. It is a big issue, but it has to be approached through the mind, not the heart, and it has to be approached logically. And I think that I can work with everybody involved to come up with an answer.
Okay. Frank?
Yes, I would agree with Randy that we have to look at it logically. And being logically is also like what X said. We have to look at it as a multi-town. Because our towns are so close, we're only 2 square mile town. Now, if we take care of the deer here, does that mean they're going to come from Riverdale back into here or there, back to there? So really, we do have to address it, but we have to address it with the surrounding towns. We have to sit down with everybody, come up with a strategy, the local communities. What are we going to do? Humane way, whatever way we have to come up with. We can have a study. Randy's going to bring in the experts, and we can come up with a good solution that's good for all the towns. That'll be the right way to do it.
And Millie, you had a comment?
Yes, I have a comment because, Councilman, he said it's only in certain areas. Everywhere we've been walking from one end of town to the other, the deers are there. They're there in my area, which I'm this end. They're there at the other end where there's empty lots. They're there at the parks where the children play. And there is ticks. And also, a lot of the children got bit, and they all got bit, parents, children. And it really is a problem. And Councilman Jacknet is right. We have to work with all the towns to eliminate some of these deers and the problems.
Okay. Eck, did you want to say? No? Okay. All right, so we'll start the next question with Eck. And it's regarding the Pompton Lakes groundwater cleanup plan. If you could just give us your general feelings about the plan, whether you feel it's good, whether you feel it's not, and why, in 1 minute.
Sure. So the groundwater cleanup plan, I feel that something needs to be done, that we cannot just sit and analyze and try to figure out what to do next. When someone comes up with a plan that they want to try something, we should at very least give it a shot. To fight it every step of the way causes this 35-year delay in doing anything. So I feel that they should move forward and we should give it a shot. Thank you.
Okay, Randall.
This new plan that they're going to try to do, DuPont has been trying to do quite a bit. The residents, I think, should have some kind of insurance plan just in case of some major problems going wrong, and they deserve that. Whether or not DuPont will do that, it doesn't look like they will. But mayor and council should kind of put pressure on DuPont and demand that they give the residents some kind of protection before DuPont proceeds any further with this new pilot plan that they want to do.
Frank.
Well, first, we could speak of the logistics of the actual plan that they want to do. But my whole main premise of the whole thing was, a few weeks ago, we had a meeting at the Carnival Center, all right? I was the first one that got spoke up from this council, and I demanded them to take care of the residents, to make sure their houses are insured before any work gets done. I went to the council meeting, I said the same thing, and I'm going to say the same thing again tonight. Insure the residents, that's their homes, that's their livelihoods, that's the least they can do. It's been 35 years. That's the least they can do is insure these homes. Let them do the plan, but insure the homes, insure the residents, make sure they're taken care of first. This is their lives, this is their livelihood. So I'm 110% behind it, that they get this done and that they insure the residents and make sure anything that happens to them, they take care of them, first and foremost.
Millie.
Yes, this is nothing new to me. Actually, I was a councilwoman when this contamination started, and we're the ones that started DuPont. And at that time, we demanded DuPont to come to meetings and answer the residents exactly what they're doing, what they're going to do, and to protect the residents, not go against them. Now, I went to that meeting also, and I can't understand why there's not an ordinance stating to DuPont and say, DuPont, these residents need protection. Why isn't there a resolution to protect the residents?
Okay, thank you. All right, the next question, we're going to start with Randall this time. And flooding is an issue. Buying out of flood-destroyed homes in the South End has taken property tax income off the rolls. Do you find this to be an issue, a legitimate problem, and what do you think can be done about it?
This question could take an hour to answer also. 40 years of construction, it's hard for me to understand. It's called repetitive loss and excessive repetitive loss. It's really an insurance term for losses that each house has had. One house can be elevated, but the next one has to be torn down. From a construction, my experience in construction, that doesn't make any sense to me. This is something I brought up to the council, and the mayor said, really, there's nothing we can do about it. But as a Republican mayor and council with a Republican congressman, you have to go up the ladder and put pressure all the way up. I don't care if you got to go to President Trump. You have to put pressure. You can't have all these vacant lots down there when you can build an elevated home on those lots and bring back the tax revenue to the town. I don't agree with that at all. I think that more can be done than is being done. We've lost 75 houses. That's round numbers, $10,000 a house. That's $750,000 a year we've lost in tax revenue. Hi.
Okay, Frank?
Yeah, Tony, just repeat. I'm sorry.
Sure. Flooding is an issue, but buying out of flood-destroyed homes in the South End has taken property tax income off the rolls. What can be done about this? And is this a real issue?
Well, like I said, the issue is pretty much done now. I mean, they're not buying out anymore. Whatever's left, whatever's done is done. Unfortunately, listen, I would have liked to have seen them all elevated, but these people have lives, they have decisions. A lot of them wanted to leave, they didn't want to stay, they didn't want to raise the houses. So what are you doing there? You force people, listen, you can't, you got to raise your house. We don't care, but you can't leave the house. So I mean, they did what they did at the time. It is what it is, we have to deal with it. 75 houses gone, that's why we do the budget the last 3 years, and we've done 1%. We've been doing good with the money we lost. We're trying to do more with less. So we've compensated for that. But like I said, I mean, what's done is done. We're not going to come back, it's unfortunately, but we have to move on.
Okay, thank you. Millie?
Yes, I'm very upset with the empty property down there, and that's actually, you have the deers, you have the geese, you have everything down there. But I don't believe that there's nothing to be done. I know I'm a fighter, and if you have to go to Washington, wherever you have to go, you can rebuild that. You can get a builder to build something like Riverdale, that build those beautiful condos. You can do anything to bring back the rateables. We are looking for rateables. Our taxes are way too high, and we're looking for rateables. So do whatever you can, and I will be willing to do and to go anywhere to get help to build that back up.
Thank you. Eck?
Hi, thank you. So, yeah, so with the loss of the properties or loss of the homes, property tax collection did get reduced. But with redevelopment on the horizon, actually in progress now, that is helping to offset the property tax that we've lost due to the homes. And I'm going to thank the Flood Advisory Board and my wife again for all the work they're doing to clear the rivers. People are buying these homes again. Houses on either side of me were empty for months, if not years, and people are buying these homes at a good property value. So property values are going back up in the south end. Thank you.
Randall, you'd like to comment?
Yeah, I just want to agree with Millie that I'm a fighter also, and I just can't fathom that we can't do anything. We have to go higher up politically, and DEP, FEMA, they could use the funds. If we can sell those lots and build elevated houses on those lots, we just have to keep fighting. If we have to go to Washington, I'll go to Washington too. It doesn't matter to me. But we just can't accept 75 homes torn down and for them to be grazing fields for deer and geese forever.
Okay, Eck, you wanted to comment?
Yes, thank you. So with the open land that we have now, we can use that to our advantage to decrease the flooding by using that land to help store stormwater runoff. We don't need to build anything which would cause impervious surface, which would cause runoff and potentially increase flooding for the rest of the folks. We can use that land to our advantage as it is. Thank you.
Millie?
Well, okay, well, I agree with him, but the thing is this, sure, we have it empty and we know when it's flooding, but the thing is, again, it's rateables. We need rateables. So we need to get an idea, a builder or someone coming in and say, okay, we can build without you flooding. This is what we have to fight for, not for empty buildings.
Frank?
I mean, the only thing I think of is we got away from repetitive flooding. We're going to build all these homes again. We're going to have more repetitive flooding. Who in their right mind is going to want to buy down there? It floods next week. Oh, got to be out of my house. I got to be inconvenienced. Where am I going to go? Then it floods the next 2 weeks. Oh, out of my house. I got to get out there, move my cars. Out of the house is not flooded, but all underneath. How are you going to get to it? They're going to get boats. We're going to have boats going back and forth here. I mean, it's nice to say that, but logistically, how are we going to do it? We want to get away from that. We want to make it like X said. We want to make it for recreation and go a different way. It's done. It's done. We have to do other things. We have to do brighter ideas. Move forward with this.
Okay, obviously, this is a very hot topic for all of you, so what we'll do is we'll go around one more time. Millie, I'll let you comment, and then we'll go the usual way that we go, okay?
Okay, well, again, they're saying we'll flood it, and once the homes get built there, we're going to flood it. No, that's not what we're saying. What Randy and I are saying, build something that does not flood. This is what you get into the builders and build something like Riverdale. They put it up high, and you just don't flood. Or some people like the raised homes. I have a home down the shore, and everything was gone down the shore from the water. But they rebuilt the old town, and it's a beautiful town. It doesn't mean they flooded. We don't flood anymore. Even if the ocean comes down to our home, it does not flood. And that's what we're saying.
Eck?
Yeah, so the redevelopment in downtown will help offset what we've lost in property taxes from the south end. Thank you.
Randall?
Yeah, it's taxes, taxes. I walk around, me and Millie knocking on doors. People say the taxes are too high, and when you lose ratables down there, there's a lot of elevated homes down there now. Those people are content to live in those houses. When the water comes, you drive away. When the water goes, you come back, you clean up your yard, you got a beautiful house again. Young people won't mind climbing stairs. They say seniors won't want to climb stairs. Well, the seniors won't live there. But there's a lot of people that want to come to our town because it's a desirable town, and they're willing to put up with that. Frank's got a point, you know, but some people won't, but other people will. This is a beautiful town, and we need these ratables.
Okay, Frank, you get the last word on this round.
Like I said, I mean, we've been waiting for this flood tunnel for 40 years that we're going to talk about it. Then we got these pearly gates over there that open up, and when they open up, the gush of water coming down at the Pompton Lakes is surreal. Even though all the work we've done on shoals and all the stuff, it still floods down there. The muck and everything else that's going to go up against these homes, against the cinders and everything else, the cleanup of the lawns and everything else. How can it be feasible to put more houses down there? I just don't see. I understand what's down there and is raised. That's done is done. But to put more, to build it up again, are we going backwards here? I've never seen such a thing. What are we going to go backwards? People, who's going to want to live there? To be disrupted every time? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. I understand we want ratables and everything, but it just doesn't make sense.
Okay. I'm going to have to save it for maybe your closing statements or something. Okay, but it's your turn again, so.
Randy?
My turn, oh, for the
yeah,
new
for the
question?
New question.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We could keep on that question. That was good.
Okay, here we go. Please explain your passion for this office and what you aim to do. What are your 3 top priorities should you be elected?
Three top
3
priorities?
top priorities.
Taxes is number one.
But it's Frank's.
Oh, I thought she said.
Oh,
I
it's
thought she
Frank.
said.
No, you, I thought she said.
Oh,
Oh, she did me? Okay.
Yeah,
What am I
that
three
was
times?
the rebuttal. This is the new round.
This is
Oh,
the
I'm
new
sorry.
round.
Is it me? Okay.
No,
I'm
it's you.
sorry. What's the 3 top priorities? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That when I get reelected? Well, like I said, like Randy said, of course, tax is the first thing. And the second thing would be probably for me, the redevelopment of downtown, pursuing that. The third thing I would probably like to see, looking at it, I would say probably looking for having more recyclable days with the DPW. I think once a month for the paper, and we need more recycling days. Whether we cut off one day of garbage, have more recycling, because now everybody's more recycling. So I go to this recycling center, it's crazy, it's packed. So I think we have to look into that, trying to have more recycle days. However, we have to work that with the DPW. But it would be nice to see maybe more recyclable days, because people pile up, and this way you have less refuge and less garbage. So that would be probably my third thing I would like to see maybe done. We'll look at.
Okay, thank you. Millie, what about you?
Yes, I guess, well, number one is the taxes, because everyone is complaining with the taxes. Now, I'd like to support the redevelopment downtown. And going through the pilot program, unfortunately, only 10% comes back, and then it depends on the agreement that they have with the builders, the ones that are building. If it's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, they're going to pay 10% every year. So it's going to be not yet tomorrow to collect all these taxes. So it takes time to collect the taxes. The other thing I like to see is the improvement of DPW. I like to see the seniors have a senior center. We're the only town in Passaic County that don't have one. It's a shame that we have to be in a place that's not suitable. It's not, we can't park. The seniors, or most of them are handicapped. They can't even park in the lot. They have to park across the street, and it's a lot of problems. Those are just a few that I like to see, and I like to see the working with the older people.
Thank you. Eck?
Hi, yes. So I'm passionate about helping people. I've always helped people throughout my adult life. And being in this office, I'm able to help people in a different way. I have connections. I can reach out to folks at the state level, at the federal level, or even at the local level. So my 3 are to listen and act on resident concerns, 2, redevelopment and stabilize our taxes, And 3, continue to mitigate the flooding and look into stormwater management and different ways that we can retain stormwater on our properties without it going to the rivers. Thank you.
Thank you. Randall?
Yes, the 3 big ones for me, of course, is taxes also. The 22 years that I've had my house under fiscal conservative Republicans, my taxes have never gone down. They've never even stabilized. Taxes are the big things. Redevelopment is part of it, but the south end of town and bringing homes back would help to bring the tax, more revenue into the town. Second one is DuPont, staying on DuPont Chemours and protecting the residents, making sure that they have that insurance policy. Maybe at the next council meeting, Frank can start a letter going to DuPont. Maybe he can author it. Third thing is flooding, making sure the rivers are kept clean, making sure there's work for the contractors to clean the rivers like we've been doing. We have to work on the flooding down there. Those are my 3 big issues.
Thank you. Okay, the next question.
Tony?
Oh, go ahead.
Just real quick. I've been here since 96, I owned my home. And I know when I was council back on 96 to 99, I was on council at that time. And for 4 years, we had a 0 tax increase. Remember, state, local, and county taxes. So I don't know what he's talking about, but the 4 years I was on there, we had 0 tax increase. The council didn't raise the taxes. Look to the school board and the county. So I can speak personally that those 4 years that I was on back in 95 to 99, Frank Giaconetta didn't increase your taxes. Look to the school and look to the county. So that is 22 years, take 4 years off that I did when I was past council.
I didn't infer that Frank Giaconetta raised the taxes. You know, but it's not fair to throw your own school board under the bus. You know, don't be blaming them all the time. You know, they're of the same, most of them are of the same party. They're all residents in our town trying to do the best they can. You know, don't throw your own school board under the bus.
Okay, Eck wanted to make a comment.
Yes, thank you. So out of the dollar that we collect, 55 cents goes to the school. I'm happy to pay it because we have an awesome school system. 20% goes to the county. So that's 75% of your tax dollar the town doesn't even see. Only a quarter, 25 cents that we have to work with to pay for the police that I support 110%, the fire department, DPW. I can go on. But with 25 cents on the dollar, we're doing a heck of a lot, and we're keeping it at 2% or less. Thank you.
Like I said, I'm not throwing nobody under the bus. I'm just speaking, these are the facts.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
Okay. All right, we're going to have a new question, and we're going to start with you, Millie. Do you support the town buying the radio station? Yes or no? And if why, you know, give your reasoning behind whatever the answer is.
Well, I don't know why the town would buy the radio station unless they're planning to put somebody there working the station, because most of the people are going to miss that station. I know that, I forgot his name, that owns the station. He's going to retire, so he's going to donate it to the town. So he's saving money for donation, but now I know the reason, if he donated, it saves us money, because if he goes bankrupt, it'll cost the town more money to run the station. But I am not for the us owning the station unless we have plans to put something in that property.
So you are or you're not?
I'm not.
Eck?
All right, so the town isn't buying the radio station. It is being donated. Yes, there's a cost involved as far as researching and title searches and all that stuff that has to go through, and all these permitting, I'm sure. But the property is worth way more than what the town could potentially be spending. So I'm for it.
Randall?
I'm for the donation, that is.
Could you rephrase the question again? Could you say
Sure.
the question again?
Do you support the town buying the radio station? And if you do, why? Or if you don't, why?
Well, whoever submitted that question is incorrect. The town is not buying it. The owner is looking to donate it to the town, and the town has to make the decision as to whether they're going to accept the donation or not. I spoke at the last council meeting, and I was kind of opposed. I said right off the bat, our mayor and council, our town is not in the real estate business. You know, to take that donation, then you, right away, I investigated it already. It's nearly $20,000 in lost property tax, on top of the $750,000 round numbers for the 75 homes that we tore down. We can't keep losing ratables. And then we have to maintain the building. Now we're paying the water bill. Now we're paying the gas bill. Now we're maintaining that building. Now the mayor and council are going to try to work with the colleges and the high school, but that's a financial burden I don't think we should take on.
Okay, Frank?
Well, like Randy said, to correct you, they're donating it to us. We're looking at it. We still haven't decided. We're going over several factors. And, you know, usually when somebody wants to donate something of this value, you know, you look at the opposite side, that they can just give it away. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to be done. Wash my hands of it. You deal with it. All the years trying to get the money back and forth, bankruptcy, everything else, we're going to lose more money. How much money are we going to lose trying to get this property and everything else as it is? Who's going to want to buy it? He can't even sell it. So to me, if you can look towards having a school, having maybe the William Patton College get together, maybe try to run it, and see if it's a possibility. If it doesn't work, well, it doesn't work then. Then we'll have to do something else. Look at something else. I mean, like I said, he's looking to donate it. The property, my mind is, if somebody's looking to donate something like that, you take it. You don't let them walk away from it. You take it as a town. You take on a cost. You do what you have to do to try to make it viable for the town. I think it's more of a benefit in the long run than a hindrance.
Millie, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I wanted to comment because the property is not worth that much money, because if it was worth that much money, the owner would sell it himself. So the reason he's donating it is because he can't sell it for that much money, so he figured he'd donate it and he'll save taxes in the long run. That's the only reason I see that that's benefit to him, not benefit to us.
Eck wanted to comment.
All right, so yeah, so he's not trying to sell it for as much as it's worth. He's tried to sell it for anything well, I don't know how much he was trying to sell it for, but he can't sell it, the bottom line. So that's why he's donating it to the town.
Right.
And it is worth more than what the town could potentially be spending on the due diligence that needs to be done prior to purchasing, prior to closing. Thank you.
Randall, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I just don't think it's conceivable that we could run it as a radio station. I've been talking about Channel 77 for years. In fact, I just had to call the mayor the other day because it still wasn't on. If we can't get Channel 77 to run properly, we're definitely not in the radio business.
Okay, let's go for a new question.
Oh, you can go for a new question. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so Eck, we'll start with you for this one. What is your idea of the use of the pilot funds for our town?
I'm sorry, what was
I think it's
the-
an
the which one? Pilot funds?
P-I-L-O-T.
Yes, correct. All right. So the money that we would get from the pilot, my understanding is that we would bank it, and it's readily available. It's liquid funds that we would not have to bond to purchase any large equipment, or if we had a large expense, unintended expense, that the money is available, and that we would have that without having to go through the whole process of borrowing money. So with the pilot, the money that would normally go to the county stays within the towns. Thank you.
Randall?
See that question again, please?
What is your idea for use of the pilot funds for our town?
Well, my use for the pilot funds, pilot is payment in lieu of taxes. It's a tax. It's a different structured tax. And the town is going to use those tax monies just like they would use regular tax monies. It isn't my idea how to use them. They're going to be used to pay the town's bills. It's just a different structure for that contractor in how he pays his taxes. And it's a different breakup. It's a different time period. But the taxes are still going to be used. Part of it's going to go to the schools. Part of it's going to go to the town. They're not really going to bank them. They're going to use them. They're taxes.
Okay, Frank?
Well, with the payment in lieu of taxes, you look at it now, schools are 60%, county 18, and the municipality 22. What happens when we take those taxes in through the agreements we have, we're getting most of the money, the town is. So instead of getting only the 22%, we might get the 90% of it. So instead of getting 100,000 and only getting 22,000 of it, we're going to get 90,000 of it. People always worry about the school. The school's still going to get theirs. If the school sets their budget at an X amount of number, the town still has to give it to them. But the nice thing is the county don't get a lot of this money. It stays within the town. And with the agreement, we're going to make more money, more for the town. And with the agreements we have with them is to maybe do other things. Help provide us for a senior center. Help provide for maybe a new ladder truck. Help provide for a teen center. These are some of the things that the payment in lieu of taxes, the pilot program, does bring in. These are the wonderful things about it, that it does do.
Okay. Millie?
Yes, the way I understand it is the pilot would be 10% of the gross income from any property being built. So 52%, I know the school gets, well, I have 58%, maybe my research is a point less than the others, and the town gets the 19%, and the county gets 19%, and we get 23%. So we are getting money, we are getting ratables. But the thing is, we keep saying the contract. What is the contract between the builder and pilot? What are they agreeing to? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? We know we're going to get 10% right away, but what about the rest?
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question, we'll start with Randall. And the question is, Mayor Sarah has suggested that residents put fences around their property. Do you think this is a practical or a desirable solution? For the deer, I'm sorry.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry. He suggested what?
For the deer population.
Oh, okay. He suggested that we,
Put fences around property?
God bless the resident if they want to do that. But what does that do? That just sends the deer off to another resident's property. And really, do we want to see our town completely fenced? Yard after yard after yard after yard? No. And you shouldn't have to do that. There's so many retirees, including me, that has a big garden that want to live in our town and retire and make our properties look nice. I know I had a conversation with residents in the south end of town who recently fenced their backyard because his wife was worried about her hostas all the time. She's got beautiful hostas now, but they had to put a fence around it. Is this what we want for our town, fenced-in town? No. You have to take care of the problem, manage the problem, and then let people plant what they want and live the way they want.
Okay, Frank?
Listen, I think what the mayor was referring to at that time is you can get certain spray at Home Depot, Lowe's. You can spray some of your vegetables in your gardens, your flowers, to bring off the deer, and maybe put a fence almost like you would to keep rodents out, to keep rats or raccoons and stuff like that out of your garden. That's what he was referring to. And as far as this deer whole situation, the main thing is getting together with the other towns, sitting down, coming up with a formula that's good for all the towns. We work together. If we work alone, the same thing. They're going to come back and forth. We're going to keep on working. We're going to pay all this money going back and forth doing all this work where they can come right back in from Riverdale to here, right back in from Wayne into here, right back in from Oakland into here. We're defeating the purpose. So the whole main thing is to get together, work together as a team, come up with a situation where all of us can be on the same page and we can all agree, whether humane or whatever way we work, whatever they just suggest, and we can move forward and get this done.
Millie?
Well, fence, that brings me back to Europe. When I was born there, we had walls, so we had no animals coming in. Is this what we want Pompton Lakes to look like? I mean, we can build old villas, and we'll be fine. But a deer is going to jump the fence no matter what kind of fence, unless you're putting up 12-foot fence. Otherwise, a deer's going to jump it anyway. So what good is it, the fence, if they're still going to jump it and eat up all your vegetables and flowers and so on? So to put an expense on the residents to put up a fence in every home is a crazy idea.
Heck,
I don't recall the mayor saying that, but if he did, he probably meant putting it around your garden or your flower bed to protect it from the deer. Thank you.
okay, yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that I do agree with Frank when what Frank said, that we have to work with town to town. But right now, nobody on our mayor and council or in our town is making that effort. I've been talking about it for years. They just yes me to death, and next, they say, you know. Thank you, Mr. Hinton, next. And nothing ever gets done. I want to work with other towns and get that done, but I need help from the mayor and council, or if I'm elected, I will initiate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is a rather complex question, so bear with me while I read it to you. And Frank, you're
Okay.
first. Would you please be so kind as to explain the details of the Pompton Lakes bid project fees and benefits versus those fees to the participating building owners of commercial properties?
Say it again now. Try to come up with a,
I'll say it again.
yeah, go ahead.
Would you please be so kind as to explain the details of the Pompton Lakes bid project fees and benefits versus those fees to the participating building owners of commercial properties?
I don't quite understand. The only thing I can gather, I guess, is somebody, a business owner, that a business owner is getting taxed, and with those taxes, they're putting new facades, they're putting flower pots, they're doing various new signs, come up with new signs. So I know the bid handles that. That's not the prairie of the council. So if the questioner meant that, that's something that the bid comes up with. The pilot is something different. The pilot is payment in lieu of taxes. That's when a developer comes in. And like we explained before, they come in, we get a set agreement, a set amount, the payment in lieu of taxes. That money, we get most of that money, and the town disperses to the school, and the rest goes to the county. And with that, like I said before, we can do other things. New community center, fire truck, senior center. These are the things that we can have the builder come in, and a part of the money they pay, also to try to get stuff redone for us, that we don't have to use borough funds and taxes, that they can do it for us. That's part of the deal, making the deal that we try to do with them.
Okay, Millie, would you like to tackle that one?
Could you just repeat it?
Sure. Would you please be so kind as to explain the details of the Pompton Lakes bid project fees and benefits versus those fees of the participating building owners of commercial properties?
I think that's, the question is, what the bid kind of controls the look of the town, the look of the building. So they kind of work together on, like Councilman Jacanetta said, your flowers, your sidewalks, your trees. That's what the bid does. The pilot is the one that is paying the lieu in taxes, that you get benefit from the taxes from the business itself. When they rebuild, if their taxes right now they're paying $10,000, and once they're finished, they're going to pay 10% more unless they have different agreement. But 10% is always going to be there. So I think the difference is between bid and pilots, two different things.
Okay, Eck.
All right, I'm not even going to try to answer that question, but I would be happy to get you in touch with someone who can. I'm not going to just wing it. Thank you.
Would you have any objection to the person who submitted this question coming up to speak with you afterward?
Not at all.
Okay. There he is.
Oh,
Well, yeah, but, I mean, you've got... Hold on for a minute, sir. Excuse me. Hold on. I'll read the second part that you have here, okay? This is the second part that he has, and maybe this will make more clarity for you. And we'll start with you, Frank. In other words, how much is paid by each commercial building owner versus how much each gets back if or when that property owner should want to renovate? Are the administrators paid to manage the bid project, and if so, how much? So I was not going to read that entire.
Well, Tony, like I said, I don't know what the bid does as far as, how they handle it or who they pay as far as their thing. That's not the realm of the council. Like I said, we support the Business Improvement District. And what my understanding is that they collected the taxes. However they distribute it to the other owners, that's what they do. So, I mean, I don't know how they pay their administrator or how they break it up. I'm not really sure of that.
Okay. Anyone else want to comment on this? Yes, Randall?
Well, I didn't get a chance to answer. I just want to thank the gentleman for the question. I mean, I need to get more information myself. You know, I'm unfamiliar with that aspect of the bid process there, you know. But I'd be willing to talk with him after the debate, and I'd be willing to bring his question to bid and get him the proper answer. All that I've ever been doing, if I don't know an answer to something, I go to someone who does know the answer and get that answer for the gentleman. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the next question that we have, pardon me? Oh, sorry.
I just want, because just the information I have gone to the bid and gone to the president of the bid. I know the bid gives grants to the business owners to fix their place. If they're putting in 10,000, they put in for a grant, and then they approve the grant so they can do more improvements. That's how the bid takes their money and gives it to to that. Pilot is strictly income from the property goes back to the town, and that's, Pilot is all by itself. The bid is by itself, and Pilot is by itself. And if I can find more information, I will let the gentleman know if I find more information. I will get in touch with him.
Okay, so you can meet with them afterward. Okay, next question. We'll start with you, Millie.
Okay.
Considering the financial problems Pompton Lake has, who can promise that the financial windfall from Pilot won't be spent on new luxury town hall? Excuse me.
Say that again?
Considering the financial problems Pompton Lakes has, who can promise that the financial windfall from Pilot won't be spent on a new luxury town hall?
I don't think the Pilot money is going to go there. You can't guarantee it because the town's going to get that 10% anyway. So then it's up to the mayor and council to see where they spent the money. So guarantee will be the mayor and council. How they're going to distribute that money that they receive in from the Pilot.
Eck?
We're by nature fiscal conservatives. We've kept our property tax increase, at least for the town, below 2%. We're not the type that would go out and just spend and spend and spend. Thank you.
Randall?
Who said it's going to be a financial windfall? It's a tax. And the tax is going to come in from this pilot program, and the mayor and council are going to deal with it accordingly. It's not going to be, it isn't like we won the lottery. If me and Millie are so chosen to be elected, we will work with the mayor and council to do the right thing with the taxes that come in. Who says it's a financial windfall?
Okay, Frank?
Well, like I said before, with the business improvement, with the pilot program coming in, the hope is to work with the contractor on trying to foot some of the bill to maybe build a borough hall. This way you can include maybe other different things, the police department, maybe bring the fire department in there, and maybe do something with the senior center, teen center, maybe do something there. As far as being a windfall, we don't know yet. But the one thing we do know is we're working on it. We're doing something. We're proactive. We're not sitting around saying, well, we lost 75 houses down the south end. What are we going to do? We've been out there. We've been proactive. We started the business improvement district. We started the everything there, the pilot program. We got that going. Redevelopment committee. They're doing a wonderful job over there. We got the best minds over there of all the whole community working together to try to move Pompton Lakes forward, to try to at least stabilize the taxes. Will they ever go down? Listen, everybody lives in New Jersey. What goes down in New Jersey? Nothing. Your blood pressure goes up in your taxes. So listen, if we can stabilize the taxes and do something, at least hold everything steady for a while so people can catch their breath, that's what we try to do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Eck, I'd like to ask you a question. And it's going back to the plan for the groundwater. Okay. Do you feel that there is any other remedy that would make people feel more confident with the plan after the recent meeting?
Right. So if the plan were to go forward, remedy or an insurance, which many people have mentioned before. If we can get Chemours to put aside some money so that the folks have some sort of assurance, some sort of, warm and fuzzy about that there is money set aside, that if something were to happen, that there's money to make them whole again or to help them in the meantime while the problem is being fixed. Thank you.
Thank you. Randall?
Could you repeat that?
Sure. Regarding the groundwater plan in the meeting that we just had, would you recommend anything that would give people more confidence in the plan or a remedy of some sort?
Yeah, well, this is something that we keep talking about, an insurance plan, but, the mayor and council talk about, they want it, Frank wants it, but I think they already know that DuPont Chemours is not going to give that to them. So that's where I would like to see the council draft a letter to DuPont, make up a resolution, demand some kind of insurance policy. I mean, they drafted a letter back in March 16th of 2016 when the freeholders wanted to come in and try to help out the residents, and they drafted a nice letter signed by all that said they didn't want the freeholders coming in at all to see what was going on with DuPont. So put your money where your mouth is, draft another letter, another resolution to DuPont demanding that these residents get protection.
Frank?
Well, first thing, I don't know as far as I'm no chemist, I'm no biotechnical engineer. I have no idea. I'm going by what they propose. I don't know if there's something better out there. I don't know. All I know, I want something done. I'm 51 years old. It's been 35 years. I went through school here. My children have gone through school here now. My son's almost done here. Raised my family here. It's still not clean. Something has to be done. And as far as DuPont, like I said before, I'm trying to remain calm because it's a sore subject to me. DuPont can do a heck of a lot more for this town. Let me tell you something. And I think these people deserve it. What we've been through, people's lives are turned upside down. A billions and billions dollar company. They're going to be merged with Dow, the biggest in the world. You mean you can't tell me you give $20,000? Wow, what do you do for new things for the school? For a new educational things and everything else? You can't give millions to this town? You can't give a new ball field for the kids? You can't give a teen center? You can't do a new DPW, new this, redevelop half the downtown? What would it cost you, $1 million? You can't do that as a company? Come on. They could do a hell of a lot more for the people.
Okay. Millie?
Yeah, I'll go back to the meeting with the EP, having the meeting. All these residents were there, very upset. I don't know why they held that meeting, because everyone was asking the questions. Everyone was, they're concerned, and no answers back. There was not one answer back. The residents were frustrated. And this program that they're doing, the cleaning, is not even guaranteed it's going to work. So why aren't you pushing DuPont to guarantee this going to work, or put out the money for the insurance to guarantee that the residents are covered?
Yes, Randall?
Yeah, I don't really need or want a new ball field from DuPont. I don't really want or need a DPW garage from DuPont. I need the whole problem cleaned up. That's what we need. We need that to be done. We don't need handouts from DuPont. We need the problem fixed. And Councilman Bennett and Councilman Giaconetta sit on the council today, God bless them, draft a resolution demanding more from DuPont.
Tony.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Frank?
I just find it curious that I won't draft a resolution, or the council won't. But at that meeting 2 weeks ago, I stood up. I made my voice loud and clear. I don't know where Mr. Hinton was. He didn't say nothing at that meeting. Did not say nothing. My comments are on record. Look it up. Frank Giaconetta, councilman, his comments are on record stating he wants what's done, and stating that I was quite upset that the representative left and how this whole proceeding was going. I said something. I stood up in front of everybody. I commented. And I commented at the council meeting and again here tonight.
Okay, Randall?
Yes, and I do agree. Frank did stand up. And he did stand up at the council meeting. and his voice was loud and was clear, and he got a lot of applause from everybody there, and he did do that. I went there to look, listen, and learn. I don't know that much about DuPont. Maybe he knows a little more than I do. I went to listen to the residents. I went to listen to what the DEP had to say, which they had not much at all to say. I went there to learn what the representative from DuPont, Dave Epps, had to say. I went there to learn, listen, and to hear what people had to say. That's why I was there. But now I'm saying what we need to do and what Mr. Giaconetta and Mr. Venning could do by sitting on the council.
Okay, Millie, you wanted to say something.
Yes, Councilman Giaconetta, you are a council person. So you got up there and you said, okay, we demand insurance for these people. Now you went back to the council meeting and you said the exact same thing. But you didn't ask for resolution or votes from the rest of the mayor and council to agree to push DuPont to give these people insurance. And sure, I was there. Why was I listening? I was listening to everyone's questions, and no one had an answer for them. No one. So what good is it to sit there and just listen to the resident over and over again for their concern, and no one helps them to get things done?
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is going to lighten things up a little bit and get your creative juices flowing. So this is a question that you're each going to answer, hopefully. And Randall, you're first. And it's almost Halloween. It's almost Halloween time.
Yes.
You're invited to a costume party. And it's a costume party for superheroes. Who would you come as and why?
Who would I be and why? Wow. Who would I be and why? Joan, who would I be? I don't know. I'm not Superman. I don't know. How about Daniel Boone? I go through the woods. I love the trees. I'm concerned about erosion. I'm concerned about overbrowsing of white-tailed deer and leading to understory destruction by that overbrowsing. And then we lose root mass, and then the floods come, and we have erosion into the rivers. And then we hire a contractor to dig the rivers out, and he puts it on the side, and the deer are still eating everything, and we get erosion back in. It's an endless process. I guess I would be Daniel Boone.
Excellent.
Who would you be, Frank?
Yeah, Frank, who would you be?
That's a good one. Listen, I would say probably Superman, all right? And meaning by that is, I feel, like I said, my whole life here, and I've always been involved, always done something, even as a kid and with my kids, coaching, and all the way up to being a police officer and you know, playing Santa Claus. I played Santa Claus for 10 years. I'm the big jolly guy, so I played Santa Claus. And I felt for all those things that I've done, given my time. And listen, I give a lot of time that I didn't go to my kids' things, and still now. Why? Because I love this town. It's what I want to do. So I feel that's something Superman would do. Would go above and beyond and out of his way. I ain't doing it for Frank Giaconetta. I'm doing it for everybody. What am I getting out of it? But I'm getting out of it the pleasure that I'm doing something. I'm contributing. I'm doing my part. I feel I'm protecting the town. I feel I'm doing what's best. What I feel is best. It might not be right to everybody or everybody agrees with me, but I feel I'm doing what's best, and I'm doing the hardest thing I can, and that to me is Superman. Put that cape on here. I'm going forward. Let's go. Let's get it done.
Thank you. Millie?
Actually, you stole mine, but I want to be a superwoman. And the reason for that is that I do so many things that when someone calls me, I like to have the power to get there, finish it, and get to the next person and finish it. Then I have my grandchildren. They call me, Ma, Nona, we're coming over. So Superwoman will give me a lot of strength to go from back and forth and help a lot of people and my family. And I think I do it right now, but I like to do more. So I think that's why I'll be Superwoman.
Thank you. Eck?
I'm going to go with Batman. I like to show up when help is needed, whether it be just someone just needing a hand carrying a couch into the house or something, or if a neighbor needs help. I don't know. Anytime someone needs help, they reach out. So I guess that's my signal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for being such good sports about that. Okay. All right, Frank, question. What is the single most significant action that you have taken, excuse me, in your lifetime that you feel qualifies you to be in this position as council?
The single
Single
biggest,
most action, event, something that happened in your life that you feel qualifies you to be in this specific position on council?
well, listen, I mean, to me, there's several things, all right? But you asked for one, I'll give one. When I put that badge on, I rose in my right hand, swear in that Bible, I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And I went to work every day. I put a vest on, a gun on, and a baton on, handcuffs on. And when I left my wife and kids, they didn't know if Daddy was going to come home. They didn't know if Daddy was going to save somebody or Daddy was going to die. But that's what I did. And I feel that qualified me definitely because I gave it all. I went out there. I was there for everybody. I saved many lives. I've helped many people. I've done things for the community. I've always been there. I sacrificed a lot of my life, a lot of my time. I still work nights. I do it for my family. But I think the single thing, when I put that badge on and I gave that oath, that I would behold the Constitution, I'd do the right thing, not for Frank Giaconetta, for everybody. And I would be fair, thorough, and honest with everybody. Never had one complaint in all the time I've been there, not one, that I worked there. And I'm proud of that because I was an honest cop.
Thank you. Millie?
I guess I was a councilwoman, and I did a lot with council. I brought back the fireworks. We built the only senior housing in town. I love to help people. When they call me, I'm there. And if it was Boy Scouts, if it was Girl Scouts, if it was the flood committee, if it was the youth advisory, whatever it was, I gave my 100% of being that person. And that's really what I think being a council I would do and help everyone. It doesn't matter what party you're on, just help everyone in the town.
Thank you. Eck?
That is a really good question. Whoever wrote that, that's a head scratcher. I guess recovering from Hurricane Irene really cemented my wanting to never have to have anybody go through that again. My kids, my neighbors. So when the opportunity came for my wife to help, she got it done. And when the opportunity came for me to serve on the council, I'm going to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Randall?
For me, I would say lifelong is my work ethic. Since I've been with Shade Tree right now, I'm out there getting the job done. Thanks to Frank yesterday, he came to our Shade Tree meeting and he brought message from the fire department thanking Shade Tree and me for the work that we got done when it needed to be done, taking care of the trees behind the firehouse. Al Evangelista asked me, I got it done. That's my work ethic. When something needs to be done, I just go at it and get it done. And also my spirit of giving. I have 2 huge gardens in my backyard. I planted 122 tomato plants, over 1,000 tomatoes. I give them away. I take care of my uncle, a senior citizen, and I brought him to the Borough Hall, gave some to Frank, he's had some. It's my spirit of giving. So I would say it's the work ethic and the spirit of giving.
Okay, and it's hard to believe, but it's time to begin to wrap up. So I thought you did a fabulous job answering all of the questions, and now you're going to get 2 minutes to let us know what you're feeling right now and what you want everyone here to know about you and your campaign. So we're going to start. We already drew lots for this, so Eck, you can begin.
All right, here we go. I'm going to kick things off. I'd like to thank all the folks that made this evening possible. League of Women Voters, the Trends, moderator, timekeepers, the runners, and the high school staff. And of course, our police department. You guys are awesome. I'd like to also thank my family, starting with my dad. Thank you for always being available to help even on very short notice. My wife, who is no longer sitting there, she had to take the kids home. Lauren, you've held down the fort ever since I became a councilman, where I find myself out of the house most nights of the week, attending various meetings and events. And to my daughters, Katie and Melanie, I know it's been an adjustment not to have your daddy home as much as it used to be. I thank you for sacrificing your time that you would spend with me so that I can serve the members of our community. Throughout my adult life, I found it rewarding to help others, whether it was volunteering on Hailed an Ambulance, donating blood, changing a flat tire for a random stranger. Helping others has been a big part of my life. Allowing me to continue to serve as your councilman gives me that opportunity to help, whether it's directing someone to the right person at Borough Hall, sending an email to get a street sign replaced, or coordinating the installation of a Girl Scout project. I've only scratched the surface of what I'd like to do for our town. Councilman Frank Giaconetta and I ask for your vote. On Tuesday, November 7th, please vote row A. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank, you're next.
Thank you. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters and the NorthJersey.com for conducting this candidates night. I'd like to thank Millie and Randy for their spirited debate. I would also like to thank everyone here in attendance and who are watching this at home for their time and interest. I truly love this town, and I love the people in this community. I'm your friend, I'm your neighbor, I'm a Pomptonian first. By no means am I a politician, even though I'm running as one. I'm a public servant who is concerned about his town and who wants to do the right thing for his community and his fellow citizens. Doesn't matter to me what your political affiliation may be. Listen, we're all in this together as a community. Being a former and current borough councilman, a retired Pompton Lakes police officer, a lifelong resident, a homeowner, a husband to my high school sweetheart, and a father to the two best children anybody can ask for. I think this all gives me great perspective on what our community needs and wants as its representative on the Borough Council. My door will always be open, and I will continue to work tirelessly to improve the quality of life for all the families of Pompton Lakes. However, I need your support and your vote to make this happen. Please vote for me, Francisco Frank Giaconetta, and Ekemon Ek Venin, row A, on Tuesday, November 7th. Thank you.
Okay, Randall?
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters who organized tonight's debates. Thank you to my running mate, Millie Torciello, for her experience and willingness to share that experience with a novice. Thank you to the Republican candidates who joined me tonight to help the voters of Pompton Lakes make an informed choice on November 7th. I said earlier that Pompton Lakes is a gem of a town. As a carpenter, a 2017 Rutgers Environmental Stewardship course graduate, as a Passaic County Master Gardener, I respect the efforts that go into planning and building to enhance the visual aspects of our town. But we need to maintain the buildings and properties to ensure continued beauty of Pompton Lakes. As I walk the streets of our town, I'm concerned with the safety of our sidewalks and parks, especially for our children and senior citizens. We need to be vigilant about maintaining the quality of life in our town. I have great respect for the DPW and believe the department should be treated with respect and provided the necessary equipment to do their jobs. I believe a bucket truck would help in trimming the trees, essential to the beauty and safety of our neighborhoods. My experience as a union leader, my passion for the environment, and my willingness to listen, to learn, are the driving forces behind my decision to run for a seat on our Borough Council. Your vote will help all our voices to be heard. Vote row B on November 7th. Thank you, and God bless our community.
Thank you. And last but not least, Millie.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. I also like to thank my husband for being behind me, putting up a patient for the last 35 years in politics. He's never let me down. He's always there. I just want to say a new voice is needed for the balance and the fresh ideas. I will work with Mayor and Council to improve our beautiful town, Pompton Lakes. I support the redevelopment effort to attract ratables and stabilize taxes. I will continue to support people whose homes are either contaminated or continually flooded. I will find a new bright location for our senior community center. The DPW building was never maintained properly and is now in poor condition in its current state. It is not a home of pride for the employees, and nothing is being done for those who work so hard to keep our town clean and beautiful at the DPW. When I was at council, I worked with all elected officials to get things done. I'd like to do that again because we all benefit when we all work together. I thank you all for the opportunity to speak tonight and hope you will consider voting for me and my running mate, Randy Hinton, IV, vote row B, November 7th. We make a good team. Thank you.
Can we have a round of applause?
Before we adjourn, I would like to thank you all for coming this evening, and particularly our candidates. It's very difficult to run for office and be confronted by all the citizens, so we really are delighted with your responses. I wanted to share with you the fact that we have 2 ballot issues when we go to vote in November. One concerns a bond act authorizing the state to issue bonds of $125 million. The proceeds of the bond will be used to provide grants to public libraries. That's our library. The grants will be used to build, equip, and expand public libraries to increase capacity and serve the public. The second ballot issue is to approve amending the Constitution to dedicate all monies collected by the state relating to natural resource damages in cases of contamination of the environment. These ballot issues are explained on the League of Women Voters, NJ, that's lwvnj.org, or on our own brand new Pompton Lakes League of Women Voters website. We hope you'll study the ballot issues and make a really concerted effort to vote the way the issues are presented. Thank you very much for coming this evening. Tony, you're a gem. Thank you.
Okay, we're done.
Nice job.
Good job. Good job, Frank.
Millie, I don't want to leave you out.
No, don't leave me out.
I gave a pen to Randy.
You gave